Welcome to the Divorce Diaries podcast, one man's anonymous and live account of if he should get a divorce or stay married. He's been cheated on and he's cheated, protecting the innocent with changed voice patterns, the omission of names, ages and genders. His authentic journey and account of the daily events of his marriage are helping him sort out his feelings and not get lost in the ups or the downs. New episodes are released daily. Welcome to the Divorce Diaries podcast. Entire seasons are released on Patreon weeks before anywhere else. At Divorce Diaries podcast Patreon page. Link in description. Now for today's episode.
Thanks for listening to all these diary entries. I'm going to catch you guys up just with where I am today. This is the end of April. Is this the last day of April? Let's see, when is this? No, it's the first day of May 1st, as I'm recording this. I just finished typing up a email to my soon-to-be ex-wife, just letting her know how our daughter's doing that's living with me. The daughter that's living with me, she's kind of opposite of the daughter that's living with my soon-to-be ex. The daughter that's living with her wants nothing to do with me. It's not speaking to me at all. She's really believed all of the lies, mistruths, one-sided storytelling that my ex told, and we aren't speaking. It sucks really badly. Her being a teenager, I mean, if anybody knows anything about raising children, you know that children need their mom and their dad. And if we're being honest, I can't quote any studies off the top of my head, and that's not what my diary entries are for. I'm not going to quote studies, but what I will say is, as children mature, their father becomes increasingly more important in their lives. Not that their mother becomes less important, but dad becomes much more important. Providing that structure is key. The discipline is also key. The life perspective, goal setting, all those things that tend to come a little bit more naturally and are maybe not naturally. Let me not do that. Things that are typically on the front of mind for guys, the future. It's usually what guys are thinking about because they're going down a particular career path or taking on a new job or something like that because they're just trying to set themselves up for the future. They're trying to provide more for themselves and the family for the future. They're trying to buy a home that the family can grow into. Typically, single moms, their kids may be in a bedroom, sharing a bedroom. The father may not want that to begin with and says, yeah, we're going to buy a 3-bedroom house because we're going to have 2 children. Or if they've got twin boys, they may say, okay, the boys can share a bedroom. But that's usually why a father should be in both a girl and a boy's life. Fathers are important, just like moms are. But my daughter that's living with me, she wants nothing to do with her mom. She's not responding to her. I have to constantly remind her that, hey, your mom reached out again. Your mom maybe sent you a text of some sort or sent you a chat on a messaging app that we share, and we're in a group chat still. And while I have nothing, and when I say nothing, I mean nothing. I have nothing to say with my soon-to-be ex. I have nothing to say to her. I don't want to hear what she has to say. I would like to settle this divorce, and I would like to put that behind us. I know it's expensive for me, and I know it's expensive for her, and neither of us are wealthy, so us spending money on lawyers is just stupid. But this is something that my wife chose. My wife chose to file, but she chose not to come to me and say, hey, can we just settle and go ahead down to the courthouse and divorce? Can we just do that? But instead, she did what she did during our marriage. She didn't think about the long game. She didn't think about how much money this was going to cost her. I know she's putting it on credit cards because I'm putting it on credit cards. And I know what her finances were like when we were married, and I know that she's paying for her entire life now. Well, with the exception of her health care, I'm still paying for that. I think that's it that I'm paying for at this point. Yeah. But it's just so weird Sorry, I don't want to go on any sort of rants or tangents. I just want to talk about what I did today and what I chose to do. I just came down to get the mail, and this was after I sent a long update to my ex about our daughter that lives with me. I've asked my ex repeatedly, how are things going with my other daughter? Is there anything you can tell me? Does she need anything? What's going on? Because she doesn't want to talk to me, but my wife refuses to even respond about my other child. And I've made sure that our daughter that lives with me is at least responding to her mom. She doesn't want to say, she's not saying very nice things in her text message or email replies. It's pretty stoic, it's pretty dark, it's pretty cold. And I say to her every time, okay, are you sure you want to send this? Do you understand that the energy that one may read these, your mom may read the energy as negative? Are you okay with that? Yeah, I'm fine with that. That's how I feel. And it's odd because she's not holding a grudge against her mom. She's just very sobered and she's fully accepted who her mom is. And she's only sending these updates to her mom because I'm making her do it. I spent a lot of time talking to my therapist about it. And she says, it's good to inform her mom. And I said, okay, I do want to. How can I do that? Because I don't want to talk to this woman ever again. And I know in all of my children's best interest, it's in their best interest not to ever see or speak to their mother again. My soon-to-be ex, I'm not saying this as a pejorative, or I'm not saying this from a place of being upset or I'm mad and I'm bitter. No, I'm just saying as a statement of fact, my soon-to-be ex is a bad person. And just about everything she does and how she moves shows that. She involved her children in our marital information. She only told a side of the story that made me look very bad. And she didn't say the stuff that makes her look bad or even worse. Now, I'm not upset that she told one thing. I don't care. There have been things that I've done where I have behaved badly, things that I'm not proud of, things that I've apologized to her for, things that I wish I could take back. But I just find it disgusting when you tell one side of a story to impressionable young children to coerce their thoughts, manipulate their actions, and motivate their desires. That I find to be in very poor taste, because when I watch YouTube reruns of a show that I really don't like, because it's hosted by a person that I really can't stand, Iyanla Vanzant. If you don't know anything about her, she is sort of if Oprah and Dr. Phil had a baby. She likes to run her own sort of talk show, so that's the Oprah side, and she likes to talk to families that are going through what she would call crisis. And there have been a lot of times where a parent had been lying to children since they were young, and I'm seeing these 30-something-year-old women sitting across from their dad, and their mom told them all that when they were 2 and 5 that their father had sexually molested them. And the father had been saying forever that he hadn't, and all the girls, they were hating their father, and one was just really sad, and I kind of can't believe my dad did that. And as a 30-year-old woman, some with their own children, finally the mother came clean after a lot of pressure from Iyanla, and she said, I did not tell the truth. Their father did not do anything, and I never saw him do anything to them, and I just kind of made the whole thing up. And she gave a reluctant apology when Iyanla Vanzant pressured her to do so. She said, well, I'm sorry, and she kind of shrugged. And it was tough to see, seeing this man cry and his 3 daughters cry all realizing that their mom had lied, and he's finally feeling vindication, but also sadness that and confusion. Just kind of like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? It only hurt our children. I mean, it hurt me greatly, but our daughters needed their dad, and you took that from them with your convicted lies that you told. And that's why I don't want to ever speak to or see, if I could help it, my soon-to-be ex-wife again. I understand her now to be a bad person. I've accepted it. And I'm trying not to make her angry. But I'm also trying to set up my own boundaries for myself. And once our divorce is final, we won't have any more ties to each other. I mean, I'm going to offensively let her know what's going on with the daughter that lives with me, which is what I did. I think it was maybe 4 paragraphs. I'm like, yeah, she just started school. I think she's settling in well. She's got some budding friendships. She went on a field trip. She had a good time. She's still in gymnastics just as before. She's enjoying herself there as well. And, I have been telling her that she should respond to you. And I'm just looking at her responses, and I see that there's not much there. But she's 9, and you're her mother, and knowing what's going on with her, I think it's just a good thing. So I'm just going to begin to let you know what's happening with her. So that was just kind of the cliff notes of what I said to her. But again, it's just me. It's how I'm wired. Just because other people are doing something badly doesn't mean that I have to reciprocate that. I love my soon-to-be ex-wife like I love any other human. I do not love her in any other way. I do not wish her well, but I do not wish her ill. I don't wish her anything. I just am looking forward to when this chapter of my life is behind me and closed. I'm hoping that as I get my daughter back into therapy, and this time I'm going to try to stay as far away from her therapy sessions as possible. I don't know if you remember in some of my last journal entries, I talked about how my ex was in and dominating most of the therapy sessions with my daughter and telling versions of a story. And I remember the one therapist that she had, she was seeing my wife and both my daughters. And I dropped this lady an email because they're my minor daughters. I said, hey, this is my name. I'm the father and soon-to-be ex-husband of this person. I notice you're seeing all three people. If there's anything you ever need or want from me, just let me know. I'm here to help because I just like to help in any way that I can. And even though we're going to be a splintered family coming up, I'm here to help. She immediately happily replied and said, yeah, why don't we set up an appointment and let's talk about some things. When we did, we talked about things, and she stopped me and she said, this is not the story that I've heard. The story that you're telling me about this event that happened, this is not the story that I've heard. And I had that feeling that my wife was telling half-truths, mistruths, or a twisted story overall. And I was vindicated when the therapist told me that. She had no dog in the fight. She had no horse in that race. She didn't have a reason to lie to me at all. So when she told me that, yeah, what you just told me sounds very, very believable. And wow, I have not gotten that. And she immediately dropped everyone as clients. She didn't respond to any of my daughter's therapy requests or my wife's therapy requests at all. My wife called me so angry. What did you say to that therapist? What did you say? And she even said that when I talked to our son, when I told him things that have happened. And she's like, he called me and he's upset with me now. What did you say to him? I said, I've told him what happened. It's just so interesting. My soon-to-be ex is only concerned about looking good in front of people, but that's not where she stops. She seems to be concerned with looking good in front of people while she is doing bad. That's the dark part. So yeah, I know it's in my kids' best interest to never talk to their mother again. But who am I? I'm not the arbiter of that. I want my children to have good relationships with their mother and their father. That's what I want. I will not stand in the way of them having relationships with us. I won't do that because they are children. So they need to be, while they're still minors at least, a parent needs to inform the other parent of what's going on, especially if they want to be informed. They need to tell them what's going on. And a child has the right, as a human being, they have a right to be in a relationship with a parent, even if it's toxic. And when I say that, I mean once they're at a certain age. Like I've got one teenager, she has the right to not speak to me. If that's how she feels, she has the right to not speak to me, not be made to speak to me or anything like that. But with the younger one that's with me, yes, she has the right to not want her mother to know anything about her, but I'm her father, and I have an obligation to make sure that her inquiring mom knows what's going on with her. Because I know, even though my wife is the person that I say she is, I know she's got to be hurting right now. I know she's got to be missing her daughter. All of our children lived with both of us their entire lives. And the fact that I've got one daughter not living with me, she's got one daughter not living with her, family's totally splintered. Most all of this is my wife's doing, but that's neither here nor there. I know that she's hurting, and I don't want her to hurt. I can say out of one side of my mouth, oh, she deserves what she's getting. This is her lying in the bed that she's made for herself. And yes, it's uncomfortable. This isn't good. She's lying in the bed she's made. But I don't want her to be uncomfortable. I don't want her to hurt. I don't want my daughters to hurt. I don't want anyone to hurt. I know I'm not able to control that and stop it, but I sure can try my best to not add to it. So I'm going to continue sending updates on my daughter who's with me, even if my wife refuses to tell me anything about my older daughter. It's a very disgusting and grimy thing. She's still a minor. And my wife wants to hold all of the cards, have all the chips on her side and in her favor. But at some point, maybe, this selfishness, I've seen it in my own family, it becomes very toxic. I have a sibling that's like this, and she doesn't really have many people in her life, because when you are so dark and you hurt others, and you don't operate from a place of like wanting to give value and wishing people well for real, wishing them well, you can only have a few select people in your circle, and usually those people are enablers or people that don't call it like it is. I see it from afar. People that are inauthentic or bad, they have these very limited relationships, or the relationships they have seem to be very shallow. I have a few relationships myself, but I will say that everyone in my life, they do know where I stand. Everyone. I had a very interesting text message that I sent out at the end of 2021. And going into 2022, like I said, I had some tough medical stuff going on at the beginning of this year. I just told them all that it was 9 people, 9 names, and I came up with a hashtag, and I said hashtag 2021 day ones, because I truly believe that my life sort of started over. the marriage and life I wanted to build and be in forever ended. The relationships that I had with my kids were in shambles. I was living by myself for the first time in my life ever. I've never lived by myself. I went from my mom's house to moving over with my dad to getting married to moving with my wife. That was it. I did not ever live by myself. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I like. I don't know my taste. I don't know my vision. I don't know my goals, my desires. As a solo man in the world, I don't know that. And I started to get to know myself just a little bit. And months after that, my little one came to live with me because she had to. And I wanted them all to live with me. I really do. I would like my wife to be able to be free to live the life that she wants. But I want her to live the life that she wants without hurting our children. I want my wife to be with as many men as she wants, however she'd like. If that's what she wants to do it. But I just don't want that lifestyle and that behavior to spill over onto my young daughter and her think that that's okay and that she should maybe treat my wife like I've seen my wife treat herself. No woman should treat themselves the way that I've seen my wife treat herself. It's sad to watch. I know that there's nothing I can do about it. I thought that matrimony's vows would be definitely would be broken, but I really thought there would be motivation to try your best not to break the vows. And if you did, sorry about it, apologetic about it, want to do everything to fix it and see if you can't get back on track. I always say we fall off the track sometimes, but try to do what you can to get back on track. But there are people in the world that now I know and have now chosen, because I understand it's a choice. I was making a choice before. I was making a choice not to accept people for who they were. And now I'm making the choice to accept people for who they are. And it is freeing. It's sad. It is lonely, but it is freeing. Because now I know with my small group of my hashtag 2021 day ones, I know all of these people well. I believe that I could call any of them and say, could you help me? I'm in a bind. And they would. In fact, one of the people on my 2021 day ones rushed me to the emergency room after a couple of my surgeries this year. And it was great to know that if I'm down bad, I got a few people that I think could help me, and they wouldn't blink. Yeah. I sent that email tonight updating my ex-wife, soon-to-be ex-wife, because there's enough bad in the world. I don't have to add to it. Of course a mother should know what goes on with her young child. Of course she should. And I'm going to make sure that happens. God bless my wife.
Wow. That was the Divorce Diaries podcast. The Daily Saga will continue tomorrow. The full season's episodes are on Patreon now. Subscribe for early access. Click the Patreon link in the description. Hopefully these entries help our anonymous recorder as a form of his own personal therapy. That's his hope and his intention. Will these recordings of life's curveballs lead this family to the best resolution in the end? We'll keep listening. New episodes are released daily on all podcast players, but all episodes are available on Patreon at Divorce Diaries Podcast Patreon page. Until next time.